You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and joined as always by your co-host, Kevin. Kevin, how are we doing tonight?
Oh, doing good, man. We're 2.5 weeks away from the draft. Been watching a little bit of hockey and NBA here down the stretch, or at least for the hometown teams. So been scratching the itch there a little bit. Congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines for winning the men's college tournament, and then for the who was it, LSU or not LSU, UCLA, right? UCLA beat South Carolina, right, for the women's. So Big Ten owns college basketball here at the moment. So congratulations to them. But yeah, I'm doing good, man. It's springtime. We are in April. We are cruising right along. So I got no complaints. How you been?
Same, no complaints, right? We're starting to rock and roll here. Weather's getting warmer. And we're gonna have to start getting out there and hit the old links here pretty quick, fast, in a hurry. I'm having a feeling, right? Like weather's starting to get to that point where it's not having to be bundled up in jackets to be out there on the golf course. So it may be about time to start rocking and rolling through that. So
Heck yeah. I went out with a group of folks last Thursday. Yeah. Moving out, and we went shooting sporting clays.
okay.
So we had some fun doing that. And again, it was nice out, everything else, but it was a good excuse to put 150 rounds through the old shotgun.
Oh, there you go. It's always a good time.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
So, and we are quick, fast, and in a hurry getting up towards the NFL draft, right? We're still kind of in that slower time period. A lot of teams kind of holding their cards close to the vest here with news, and not a ton of stuff kind of trickling out there from a news and notes perspective. But any news or notes that you want to hit up?
I've really seen Kirk Cousins, right? That came out since we were on the show last week, right? So
Right.
Kirk Cousins is now with the Las Vegas Raiders, is kind of that bridge mentor type quarterback to presumably Fernando Mendoza. So we'll see how that plays in. Obviously, I don't expect Cousins to just roll over and give the starting job away. Like, he's going to compete and make Mendoza earn it. But I think that was probably a pretty smart move by the Raiders. Like, let's just hedge our bets a little bit, just in case the kid needs, half a season or even a full season to really get wet. Like, we know we're rebuilding and we're not where we want to be. So let's develop this kid properly and see if we can't turn around the franchise.
Right. And there's some familiarity there between Cousins and the coaching staff, right? Clint Kubiak, now that the head coach with the Raiders, was with the Vikings offensive coordinator, called plays for Kirk back in the day, right? So there's some familiarity there, right? Sticking on some quarterback news, we some interesting things started kind of coming out of Philadelphia here in this last week on their quarterback situation, right? Some of the reports out there is that people are kind of piling on to the last play that the Eagles ran, and calling for verts, and Jalen having the call on that one, which I don't know. That seems a little bit interesting that you're gonna have the quarterback call the play when you've got the offensive coordinator and you've got an offensive minded head coach both in that discussion there as well. So kind of interesting to see there, right? As well as some other things kind of coming out that under center play, things like that. So it'll be interesting to see some of these rumblings that we hearing out of Philadelphia on what that comes to play here, and how that kind of gets approached here coming through the season there.
Yeah, Philly fans are super passionate, right? To a fault almost, and sometimes they get an unfair rap. I think this probably falls into them being a little bit overreactive than what the fan base is looking at. Like, look across the NFL. Like, who else are you going to get? Like, who else are you going to be able to get your hands on that's better than what Jalen Hurts is doing. And I would argue that maybe, just maybe, if you guys could keep an offensive coordinator around and not have to rely on the offensive coordinator's playbook, there'd be a little bit more cohesion with what Jalen Hurts and the rest of this offensive unit is doing. But seemingly whichever play caller come in, they morph the team to their play style, their play calling style.
Right.
And right, wrong, or indifferent, that puts a lot on the quarterback. You're learning a new language, all these different route concepts. Like, yes, there's some wrinkles that might be familiar, but in large part, it's a brand new language every season of his career so far.
Right.
Even further dating back to college. We've talked about this a couple different times. So I wouldn't go as far to say I'm a Jalen Hurts apologist. I would just say the facts are the facts. And when you're 6 years into your NFL career and you've had 6 different offensive coordinators, there's going to be some bumps in the road. Like, you just got to figure it out. And hopefully, with what's coming this season, AJ Brown will get back in line, hopefully, and be able to focus on him a little bit and kind of revitalize this passing game that was less than optimal for the Eagles last year.
Right. You also had the Dexter Lawrence coming out, and the news breaking around him that he's wanting to trade out of New York. So that's an interesting kind of wrinkle there as well. All pro defensive tackle looking to try and move on there. We'll see how that ultimately plays out and what that looks like there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's kind of broke here over the last week or so, but those seem to kind of be the big ones. You've also got Fernando Mendoza also stating that he's not going to be attending the draft in Pittsburgh, and he's going to be sitting at home in Miami on draft night and celebrating with friends and family down there in Miami on draft night. So
good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. Like these young men, as talented as they are, what do you get? Saying you attended the draft, saying you shook the commissioner's hand, like being able to walk out on stage. Like, it's an NFL dog and pony show, and I have zero need to see these players at the draft. There's cameras everywhere. Stick them in their home. Let them be with their friends and family, and so that way it's not just them and mom and dad and their siblings or whatever, but let them be with their closest unit. I don't care if it's a small group of 5 or 6 or a big group of 30 in a watch party that we've seen with some of these guys. It's their moment. It's their day.
Right.
And if Fernando and or any other potential draft pick, whether it's first round or 6th, 7th round, you do you, man. Like, you have it, because you will remember that. You'll remember that moment forever, and you might as well spend it with the people that you want to spend it with.
Exactly. So we'll see if he's the only one or if there's some others that come up with similar draft night plans, but I'm sure we'll start hearing some more of that kind of play out here as we draw a little bit closer. And as far as like I said, there really hasn't been a whole lot of news kind of starting to shuffle around here. A lot of those teams playing things very close to the chest, keeping their cards very close to the chest as far as, kind of the rumblings coming through there. But anything else you want to hit up here before we start diving into the mock 2.0?
No, I don't think so.
All righty. So mock 2.0, we'll just go ahead and hop right into the NFL first round mock 2.0, right? And so last week we had the stipulations where there weren't any trades that were available. You had to draft it as your picks lay. And this week those stipulations are off, right? So there are some draft day trades that are available, some trades that can happen here, and all of that going through. So we'll kind of start rocking and rolling through that. And I led the way last time, so why don't we go ahead and have you lead us off tonight?
Sounds good. first overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. That didn't change for me from last week. Fernando
Right.
Mendoza.
Yeah, same. Right. It was interesting, right? The draft odds on him fell. I believe I saw it's a negative 20,000 right now for him to be the first overall pick. Like the Vegas usually gets those first couple of ones right, and when the odds are that much, I think that's pretty much just the shoe in at that point for sure. So, all righty. Next up, we got the Jets on the clock here, and who'd you have the Jets taken?
I have the Jets going edge rusher, Avril Reese out of Ohio State. I think he fits what Aaron Glenn's wanting to do. Quick twitch guy. Obviously comes from a high pedigree there at Ohio State. And at 6'4", 245, basically, like he's got his man body on. So I don't think it'll take much for him to make an immediate impact for the Jets, who are probably going to be on defense quite a bit this year.
Right. Yeah, that's who I've got them going with as well, was Avril Reese, right? He's got that explosive, just kind of get off the ball and get after folks on that one. So I think that he's definitely, our second pick here on that one. So far, not really any changes from last week, on at least as far as my draft goes, which moves us to number 3, the Cardinals on the clock. Who do you have the Cardinals taking?
I have the Cardinals. I debated this one, and I might end up changing it next week. But this week, I have the Cardinals going with David Bailey, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech.
Yeah, samesies. And for everybody out there that, just if they're curious, Kevin and I did not share any of our results or who was going who or whatever until right now on this one. But I've also got David Bailey coming off the board at number 3 here to the Arizona Cardinals as well, right? Like, this is another guy that has a very explosive off the ball. He's got some good pass rushing skills. And I think that this is something that Arizona is going to look to try and go with as they try and start rebuilding out there in the desert. All righty.
Absolutely.
That moves us into pick number 4, and the Titans are on the clock with this one. Who do you have the Titans going with?
The Titans going offensive tackle in this position. Okay. And really trying to build within the trenches. They grabbed a tackle last year. I think they go back to the well and they grab another one this year. And right now I have Francis Mauigoa out of Miami to help bookend their offensive tackle position.
Okay, I like that one. And that's certainly a position of need, right? They need some help on that offensive line, right? Try and get Cam Ward some better protection back there, see what they can do. So it certainly makes a lot of sense. I went a little different route. I had them picking Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame for this position, right? Which, there's a lot of folks out there that in their mocks are going with this pick here as well. But looking at this, Jeremiah Love, probably the most explosive offensive player, skill position wise in this draft. And this is one of those that I could see them going with him to put more skill positions around the young quarterback and try and lighten the load on him a little bit here as well. So, that's kind of where I went there. I don't know that we'll necessarily see running back taking this early, but it certainly kind of makes sense on those aspects there. Any other thoughts on pick number 4?
No, sir. I think 4 is kind of the first real question mark. Like, what's Tennessee thinking? So I think 1 through 3, unless there's a trade, is pretty well set. But 4, things can get a bit interesting.
Right. I could see the Cardinals, kind of switching that up and going offensive line side, but I do think that number 3 is going to be a in the trenches player, whether it's on the offensive side or the defensive side of the ball with Arizona. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on over to pick number 5. The Giants currently on the clock with that one. Who do you have going at number 5?
I think I had this last year as well, last week as well, but I'm going with Carnell Tate, the wide receiver out of Ohio State, to pair up with Malik Neighbors, coming back from injury, another young weapon for Jackson Dart. and the Giants are kind of going all in to be able to score with the rest of the NFC East.
Okay. I like that one, right? Like it certainly makes a lot of sense. I ended up going on the defensive side of the ball here. I ended up picking Sonny Styles, the linebacker out of Ohio State, right? Like certainly kind of makes a lot of sense on that one, right? Like when have we seen Jim Harbaugh have great success as a head coach? That great success comes when they tend to have a linebacker that can dominate in there, right? Like you look at some of those great Ravens teams in the past, that defense, and they built around the linebacker. Same thing too with even some of the recent success when you brought in Roquan Smith to to Baltimore as well, right? Like that seemed to step up that defensive unit there as well. So, one of these that there's not many of those types of guys that come around and or come around very often. Sony Styles certainly kind of fits that bill on this one. So, that's who I have them going with at number 5. Any other thoughts here at the 5th pick?
No, sir.
Alrighty. Let's go ahead over to the 6th pick. The Browns currently on the clock for that one. What do you have? Who do you have going here at number 6?
We have the Browns going with Reuben Baines Jr. To pair up with Myles Garrett, as far as just kind of a pair of edge rushers to just really wreak havoc in a division that, you got Baltimore, you got to be able to contain Lamar Jackson and what they're doing. Obviously, the Bengals and kind of their high profile offense when everybody's healthy. The Steelers are a bit more grinded out, but with the new head coach and Mike McCarthy, traditionally he's more of a pass, lean towards the pass, if you will, type head coach, right? Traditionally about 57% pass in his play calling assortment. So a lot of pass rushers needed for the Browns, who are kind of on the bottom side looking up. But if you can keep the quarterback on his back, that'll give your offense a chance to kind of figure it out, whether it's at the quarterback position or wide receiver or wherever else.
Yeah, no, I like that one. Certainly makes a lot of sense there, right? And I kind of like that pairing going off of Myles Garrett, right? Like that's you can really shake some teams up there with if you've got less than 2 seconds to snap and get rid of the ball, right? Like that's and two disruptive pass rushers can certainly kind of bring that home. I've got the Browns looking a little different way here. I've got them playing on the offensive side of the ball. Again, another defense or another in the trenches kind of guy here. I've got them taking the offensive tackle out of Miami, Francis McGowie, and again, one of those that they're going to have to figure out what they're doing here at quarterback, right? But part of that is right. Is it going to be Watson going forward? Is it going to be Shadur? Are they going to be back in this position next year, looking to draft yet another quarterback on this one? Either way, though, and whatever the answer is on that one, you've got to have somebody that can keep the quarterback upright and really shore up an offensive line. And Francis McGowie can certainly be that guy. So, any other thoughts here at pick number 6?
No, sir.
All right, awesome. Let's go ahead and move to number 7. The Commanders currently on the clock here. What do you have what do you have going on here at pick number 7?
I'm a little torn here. What I think ultimately what's happened is I have Jeremiah Love going to the Commanders here at 7.
Okay. I like that one. It certainly fits a need, right? Like the Commanders have a big kind of hole at running back on this roster. And so, if Jeremiah Love is still there, like certainly makes a lot of sense to bring in a guy and give another weapon around Jaden Daniels to see how they kind of rock and roll through on that one. I've got the Commanders also taking a offensive weapon here to bring in and be another weapon for Jaden Daniels. I've got them looking a little different position though. I've got them going wide receiver and taking Carnell Tate here, right, to be that guy to play opposite of Terry McLaurin and really allow them to kind of stretch things out there and add more weapons for Jaden Daniels here going into his 3rd season. Any other thoughts here on pick number 7?
No, I think this could be a real interesting pick for the Commanders.
Right.
Just to kind of see what falls to them. They're actually in a really good spot because no matter no matter what happens in the 6 picks in front of you, there's a really good player who's going to add value to your team sitting here at 7, and the Commanders, regardless of, they have just enough holes in the right areas that they should walk away very happy with their first round pick.
Yeah, right. Like in that scenario, if Jeremiah Love falls, right, slam dunk for him, right? Carnell Tate's still there, that could be another slam dunk. Depending, at this point, there's a lot of offensive line to bring in and help plug up some of those holes, right? If Sony Styles happens to fall there, they'd be very happy with the linebacker there. Some of these edge rushers that are still out there, right? Like they are really in a good spot with the talent that's there and what what should be available for them. So I like that thought. All right, pick number 8. New Orleans currently holds that pick. What do you have happening here at number 8?
Number 8 is where I have Sony Styles. New Orleans, a team that has plenty of really bad contracts, a team that's kind of aging out, but now they're going to get their guy who can play inside or is versatile enough to go outside and pass rush situations and be able to kind of be the new anchor of what this new age New Orleans Saints defense is going to look like going forward.
Right. And, the Saints certainly lost DeMario Davis in free agency. Cam Jordan, currently not on the team, right? Still, Cam Jordan's still a free agent, but you're right. Like that is an offense that is a defense that's going to see a lot of changes happen this year from guys that had been just kind of stalwarts of that roster and of that locker room for many, many years. So it'll be interesting to see how that one comes to play. And Sony Styles certainly could be a guy to come in and be that next guy there. So I like that call. I've got the Saints also playing on the defensive side of the ball here. A little bit different position though. I've got them taking an edge rusher on this one, right? Currently Cam Jordan not on the roster. They're going to need somebody to kind of try and step into and fill that position. Ruben Bain, edge rusher out of Miami, is where I've got that coming to play on that one. Any other thoughts here on pick number 8?
No, I think the Saints would be tremendously happy with either defensive player falling to them here at 8 and being able to kind of lock them up for the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think so too. That moves us to pick number 9. Kansas City currently owns that pick. Do you have Kansas City making this pick? Are they trading out? Who do you have going here at number 9?
I have Kansas City making this pick because he is arguably the top prospect at this position group. I have them going corner, and I have them grabbing Jermaine McCoy out of Tennessee and help backfill the exodus of secondary players that have gotten out of Kansas City over the last couple of years.
Right. No, I like that call. I've also got them looking at cornerback as well. A little bit different guy. I've got them going with Mansour Delane out of LSU, right, to try and step in and potentially help fill the void left by McDuffie's exit in this past offseason. So, Kansas City certainly needs something to bring in and try and shore up that secondary. You and I both look in similar positions, just slightly different players there. So I like the call. Any other thoughts here at pick 9?
No, sir.
All righty, that moves us to pick number 10. Currently, the Cincinnati Bengals own that pick and are on the clock. What do you have happening here at pick number 10?
The Bengals going defense. They need a lot. They need help on that side of the ball, right? They've struggled with it a little bit, too many shootouts, and I have them stepping up and taking Caleb Downs. So he's going to just take a small stroll down the road from Columbus into Cincinnati and find himself a home here with Joe Burrow and company.
Right. I've got cosign on that one, right? I've also got Caleb Downs going to Cincinnati, the safety out of Ohio State, right? This is a team that needs help all across the defensive side of the ball, whether it's cornerback, defensive line, edge rushers, safeties, linebackers, like all sorts of different options there. And Caleb Downs is a guy that can step in and be a difference maker for this team. Week 1. So you and I've looking same thought here. Any other thoughts on pick number 10?
No, sir.
All righty, let's go ahead and move to pick number 11. Miami Dolphins currently on the clock with that one. What do you have happening here at pick 11?
The Dolphins have a lot of holes. They've traded away players, they let a lot of players leave, but right now, they need someone to throw the ball to, in my opinion, and help out Malik Willis and what this team's gonna look like. So I have them grabbing Mekhi Lemon, the wide receiver out of Southern Cal, to step in and be able to kind of be a smaller outside guy. Maybe they move him inside a little bit more, but I think he does have the ability to kind of move across the set here a little bit and see if they can use him much like they used Jalen Waddle his rookie and sophomore season.
Right. Now, I like that call so much so that I'm going to co-sign on that one as well. Right. That's who I had the Dolphins taking was Mekhi Lemon as well. And change up here for my first mock draft because I had them going cornerback in mock draft one. This time around, got them going with the wide receiver here because I do think that Mekhi Lemon kind of stands out a little bit more so than the cornerbacks that are available here. So that's where I've got them looking. Any other thoughts here at pick 11?
Miami's a wild card,
Right.
I think, is the other thought that I had, just because they have so many needs. So
Wouldn't
many needs with the exodus that they had on both sides of the ball between Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They lost both their edge rushers, and whether it be a trade or free agency, like they just gutted house. So, I mean, you could throw a dart and probably land on something that Miami needs. So, because of that, this it was rather difficult to kind of
right.
pin down where I thought they were going to go.
And it wouldn't surprise me if you see the Dolphins move out of this pick, try and move back a little bit, get some additional draft capital here, and try and shore up because you're right, there is just holes all over the place on this roster. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them even potentially move down a few spots and see if they can't get some more draft capital here in 2026 to try and fill up further holes there. All right, let's go ahead and move on to pick number 12. That puts Dallas, the Cowboys, on the clock here. What do you have happening here with pick 12?
So not necessarily super splashy, but again, the Cowboys need help on the defensive side of the ball. I could see them going offensive line here to really try and get some youth back in there and continue to develop. But the way my board fell, I have him going Mazador Delane, the cornerback out of LSU, just to help them on the back end. They were just so bad against the pass. And obviously with Diggs leaving because he wanted to be with his buddy Parsons and all the weird things that kind of happened in Dallas last year, they need to retool and reload the coverage a bit. And Delane, very, very solid cornerback who will be able to step in for him and start day one.
Yeah, absolutely. The boys certainly need help at the cornerback, the safety, linebacker, edge, defensive line, like kind of all over the board here. They have holes and they need help all across it. But I've got them going cornerback as well. A little bit different cornerback because I already had Mansour Delane off the board. But I've got them looking at Jermod McCoy, the cornerback out of Tennessee, to be the guy that they're gonna pick up and look to try and fill those holes here. Any other thoughts with pick 12?
No, I think they'd be happy either way.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Let's go ahead and move on to pick number 13, Los Angeles Rams, currently on the clock here. What do you have happening here at pick 13?
This is a pick I could see the Rams trading, right, and continue to get some more youth around them. But for this sense, I don't have them trading. I think they realize they have one more shot with Stafford, and this is potentially going to be his final run at it. So I have him going offensive tackle with Spencer Fano, the tackle out of Utah. Just whether he is a rotational player, whether he ends up moving inside for a season. He's a little big to be a guard, honestly, at 6'6", 311. He's a little tall for a guard, but if you're able to stick him out at right tackle and develop him with a veteran quarterback who knows kind of how he needs the offensive line to move, it makes him that much better next year when you assume that the Rams are going to go back to the cupboard. and look at quarterback.
Right. And certainly offensive line is a position of need, right? Um, with one of their tackles retiring here this last offseason. And Spencer Fano was a guy I looked at really, really hard at this pick here, but I ultimately ended up deciding to go into a little different position here, right? I ended up having them take Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver out of Arizona State. Kind of feels two positional, issues there, right? Devontae Adams getting a little bit longer in the tooth, right? Does Devontae Adams move on after the season? Does he decide to hang it up? Question marks around that. Question marks surrounding Puka Nacua and what he's, what that's going to look like this season here with some of the offseason stuff. So I've got them going with Jordan Tyson to try and bring in and fill in and try and learn and move into this system here as another offensive weapon. Any other thoughts here at pick 13?
No, I like the reasoning behind that.
All righty. Let's go ahead and move to number 14, the Baltimore Ravens on the clock here. What do you have happening at pick 14?
I have the Ravens going with Jordan Tyson. So we were super close, right? But I have the Ravens going Jordan Tyson. Um, uh, Mark Andrews, another year older. They lost Isaiah Likely. Like, you could see a reason why they could possibly draft Sadiq as the first tight end off the board in this year's draft. Understandable, but I think they're going Jordan Tyson to get another speedy, sure-handed pass catcher as kind of this new age Ravens offense maybe takes hold a little bit. New head coach, maybe, just maybe, they're going to let Jackson kind of throw it down the field a little bit. Derrick Henry's another year older, and we started to see some signs of regression last year. So I think all things are possible with what Baltimore can do, but I think they need a little bit of youth and some true number one power behind that wide receiver position that they haven't really had in what, Derek, since like Anquan Bolden.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Long time, right? And I think Jordan Tyson can be a true alpha for this team.
Right. No, I like that. I like that call there. Right. The Ravens certainly need some help at the wide receiver room. I've got the Ravens making this pick, but going a different direction. Right. Jordan Tyson just came off the board for me at pick 13, and I've got the Rams going with the offensive line side of things here. Right. The kind of shoring some things up here and getting a guy like Spencer Fano, the offensive tackle out of Utah, to come in and be their pick here at number 14. Any other thoughts on pick 14?
No, going offensive line would be a very Ravens thing to do, right? They draft responsibly. They draft for the long term, and it fits how this organization is typically run. So that pick would not surprise me.
That cracks me up. They draft responsibly.
Well, but you know what I mean, though. Like the Ravens and the Steelers also, both those teams seem to hit at a higher clip on first round picks than other organizations. And I think a large part because they don't draft very far away from the ball in the first round. Kyle Hamilton, right, is kind of the exception. He's turned out as a great safety for the Ravens also. But typically they're drafting trenches, maybe linebacker, but they don't get too caught up with the skill position players in the first round. So your pick is extremely reasonable and very Ravens-esque.
Right. All righty. Let's go ahead and move on to pick number 15. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers currently on the clock with that. What do you have happening here at pick 15?
So I'm torn here, and I know I need to make a decision, but I'm kind of walking through this in real time because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need some help on the offensive line. They had a lot of injuries last year. We saw it happen when Tristan Wirfs went down, and that just did not help on top of all of the weirdness that Bucky Irving went through. And you're just in a tighter window, right? You have Baker Mayfield running there. You're trying to figure out what you're doing at receiver as far as how it's going to look between McMillan and Godwin and Mbuka. So you kind of have your three-headed monster there. Kenyon Sadiq makes sense to give Baker Mayfield a weapon, right? K. Otton really is not a difference maker. He's just kind of that twice a season fantasy relevant tight end. We're going, yeah, see, he can do it. And then he disappears after you pick him up off the free agent wire. So I'm torn
Yes.
between him and I'm going to butcher his name, but he's an offensive lineman out of Penn State. Olivia Vega.
Sure. Ione.
Monet.
Yeah,
Oh
there you
yeah,
go.
Ione. Like, I think that's where I'm going with is Ione. Like, I think that interior offensive line is going to be a bigger impact for how the team functions in Tampa Bay right now. As much as I would like them to draft Sadiq, because I think Baker would be able to put him to use pretty well his rookie year. I think Tampa's going to protect Baker and keep him upright and give him time to distribute between the pass catchers that he already has, as opposed to just adding another weapon and then being under siege for the entire season.
No, I could see that, and it certainly makes a lot of sense. I've got them, going in the trenches as well, but on the different side, but on the opposite side of the ball. I've got them looking at the edge rusher out of Auburn, Keldrick Falk, to be that, right. Like, again, this is one of those that I think that we'll see them try and get after the quarterback and really pressure on the defensive side of the ball here with this first pick. So, any other thoughts here at pick 16?
No, sir.
All right, let's go ahead and move to number 18. The New York Jets are back on the clock again. Their second pick here in round 1. What do you have happening here at pick 16?
I'm torn here. Like, I feel like the Jets are going to try and do something splashy after going edge rusher earlier in the first round, and then trying to, I don't know. No, I think they're going to stay on the defensive side of the ball. Avion Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson, I think is who Glenn is going to go with. Defensive guy. He's going to rebuild this defense and start to build it back up in his image, knowing that he has to compete with the likes of Drake May and Josh Allen 4 times a year. He needs guys that can help slow them down and make it hard for them to pass the ball.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And at that point, it might make too much sense for the Jets to actually go after something and go through that, right? Like, too logical for that organization to do that. So my pick is not on the defensive side of the ball. They're actually going to go on the offensive side. And they're going to go with the quarterback out of Alabama. Ty Simpson is how I have them going on this one, right? Because that would be the most Jets thing ever, with the head coach already coming out and saying that Geno Smith is the starter. Having returned to the Jets after the Jets took him as a higher draft pick back in the day, to then have him named the starter, to then draft the heir apparent in there with a first round pick, and just about a Jets move there. So I went with a Jets feeling type of move on this one.
I like it.
Any other
Chaos.
thoughts here on?
No,
Yes.
I like the chaos.
All righty. Let's go ahead and move on to pick 17 then. The Detroit Lions are on the clock. What do you have happening here at pick 17?
I got the Lions taking offensive tackle here. So Dan Campbell has recently come out and hinted or flirted with the idea of possibly flipping Penei Sewell from right tackle to left tackle. So if they're doing that, they need a replacement at right tackle. So Dan Campbell is drafting Monroe Freeling, the offensive tackle out of Georgia, big 6'7", 13-pound guy who can step in and probably be a little bit more comfortable at right tackle than he would be stepping in right away at left, and allowing this offense to replace some of the offensive linemen they've lost here the last couple of years via free agency and or retirement.
Right. No, I like that one so much that I also did the same pick, right? Co-sign with Monroe Freeling, the offensive tackle out of Georgia on this one, right? The Lions' biggest needs are offensive line, whether it's tackle or interior line. Monroe Freeling can be the guy that could step in here, be week one starter. And I do like that thought of potentially moving Penei Sewell from the right side to the left side and allowing Monroe Freeling to step in to be a right tackle on that one, and not being forced to navigate that left tackle side of things as a young rookie. So, alrighty. Any other thoughts here on pick number 17?
No, sir.
All righty, let's go ahead and move to number 18, the Vikings, Minnesota, on the clock here. What do you have happening here at pick 18?
So in honor of our co-host Alex, right? There's very few things that are certain in life: death, taxes, and the Minnesota Vikings drafting secondary in the first round.
Yep, or
And
wide receiver. That's the only two
wide
they can go with.
receiver,
Yeah.
right? And so I have them going in the secondary. I have them going safety with Dylan Thiemann out of Oregon, and trying to shore up the defense here a little ball hawking capabilities. Again, we have Caleb Williams, you have Jordan Love, Jared Goff. You have a tough division who does pretty efficient throw the ball around. So you need ways to slow them down. Step up, grab a safety who can help ball hawk back there.
Like it. I also went on the defensive side, secondary side of things, but I went with quarterback here. Avion Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson, to be the Vikings pick with this one, right? Like they need some help at linebacker, cornerback, safety, and Avion Terrell's probably the best available player at this point at any of those positions. So that's where I ended up going with there. Any other thoughts here on pick 18?
Nope, I like it.
Pick 19, Carolina Panthers on the clock. What do you have happening here at pick 19?
I have the Panthers going Kenyon Steak. After spending a lot of their free agent cash on pass rushers, they're going to go into the draft, get a nice young weapon to help Bryce Young out, and see if he can kind of take that next step. Gives them a pretty respectable yet what are my words here? It's a respectable yet unknown receiving core, right? You have Tet McMillan, but you have a couple other guys there who have stepped up towards the end of the season. Bryce Young started to show glimpses of understanding the quarterback position at a professional level. So let's step in, give him another big body who can help control the middle of the field and allow McMillan to kind of work his intermediate to deeper routes. Well, you have a young tight end to kind of help control the middle and short.
No, I like that one. Certainly would give them another weapon there as well, right? The likes of Tommy Tremble and some of the other cast of characters we've seen out of the Panthers tight end room over the last few years hasn't really struck much fear out there to opposing defenses, but Sadiq certainly could be that guy to transform that position for them. So I like that pick there. The Panthers, I've got them taking Oli Vavega Ione, the offensive lineman out of Penn State. Again, one of those that how do you help the young quarterback? You shore up the offensive line, and Ione certainly has that potential to be a difference maker for this team on that interior side of the line here. Any other thoughts here on pick 19?
No, I like it.
All righty, let's go ahead and move on over to number 20, the Dallas Cowboys on the clock with their second pick of the draft. What do you have the Cowboys doing here?
So I'm torn here with the Cowboys a little bit. Again, on the defensive side of the ball. So they got cornerback earlier in the draft. My question now that I'm debating between, do they go safety and just really focus in on that secondary, or do they look at an edge rusher who can, help with their ability to get after the passer here? So I think for the sake of being a little different, maybe it's not that different. I'm going edge rusher. Like, you'd like the safety, but that's more of a luxury pick. After you just picked one up in free agency, so I'm gonna have them go Kedrick Falk, the edge rusher out of Auburn here at pick 20.
Okay, I like that one. I also kind of wrestled around with that one there a little bit, right? Like, do they go with the safety side of things? Do they go? They also need some help at linebacker, right? A guy like C.J. Allen is still out there at the linebacker. On my board, Dylan Thiemann is still out there at the safety. Like, all of those guys could be very, very good at this pick here. But I've also got them focusing in on the edge side of things, right? Like edge, a little bit more of a splashy pick, and I don't think Jerry can help himself but to try and make a splash here. So I've got them taking the edge out of Miami, Akeem Mesidor. Any other thoughts here at pick 20?
No, I like that pick too.
All righty. Let's go ahead and move on over to pick number 20 then. The Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock. What do you have happening here at pick 21?
Start continuing to build within the trenches for the Steelers, right? We're going to go tried and true. Caden Proctor, the offensive tackle out of Alabama. Much like your Ravens pick earlier, I feel like this just really fits in with what the Steelers organization tries to do within the draft, and just be risk adverse, if you will. They want someone who they know that they can kind of lean their hat on here for a few years as he continues to develop. But big kid, 6'7", 350. He big boy, so he'll be able to step in at tackle and kind of be the youth as Pittsburgh figures out who their quarterback's going to be, because right now he's protecting air.
Right. You're not wrong on that one. That's for sure. I like that. I like that pick. I've got the Steelers looking on the defensive side of the ball here. And I've got them looking at linebacker here. I'm gonna have them take C.J. Allen, the linebacker out of Georgia, on this one to kind of build up that defensive unit that they've really tried to just play off of so many years. So that's where I've got them looking at is C.J. Allen, linebacker out of Georgia. Any other thoughts here at pick 21?
No, sir.
Alrighty, awesome. Let's go ahead and move on here to pick number 22. You've got the Chargers on the clock here. And what do you have the Chargers doing? Or I guess what do you have happening at pick 21? Doesn't have to be the Chargers.
No, so I have the Chargers torn between edge rushers at the moment. Mesidor is one of the options. The other option I'm looking at is T.J. Parker out of Clemson. I think ultimately they're going to go T.J. Parker. I think he fits their defensive scheme just slightly more than Mesidor does. But realistically, you can't be mad with either one.
No, I like that one. And I've got them looking at the edge side of things as well, right? I've got them going T.J. Parker out of Clemson. This is one that I kind of flirted around thinking about maybe offensive line side of things, but I did have them end up going on the defensive edge side of things, and I'm going to have them take T.J. Parker out of Clemson. Any other thoughts here with pick number 22?
No, sir.
All righty. Let's go ahead and move on here to pick number 23. Eagles are on the clock. What are you thinking here with the Eagles or pick 23?
For the Eagles, I think they're going Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, the safety out of Toledo. Again, another backfield that kind of had a lot of turnover here in free agency. This is a guy who can step up, step right in, and be an immediate impact player for the Eagles on the back end.
Okay. I like that one. I ended up having the Eagles take a guy that I don't think that that they thought that they'd be able to be in a position to land this guy. And right, the Eagles certainly certainly need to start looking at replacing some of their offensive line, right? Their offensive line starting to age up a little bit, right? Lane Johnson probably quick to retire here over the next few seasons. So I've got them looking at Caden Proctor, the big offensive lineman out of Alabama for this pick here. Any other thoughts here for pick number 23?
No, sir.
All righty. Let's go ahead and move on to pick number 24. Currently the Browns, Cleveland on the clock here, pick number 24. What do you have happening here with the 24th pick?
I have the Browns going offensive tackle here. I had them going edge rusher earlier in the draft. Now they're going Caleb Lamu out of Utah to help rebuild this offensive line and give at least some protection to whoever the quarterback in Cleveland's going to be, right? Whether it's Shadur, whether it's Deshaun Watson, whether it's someone they pick up off the street. Like, who knows what Cleveland's going to end up doing a quarterback, but you got to be able to protect him.
Right. No, I like that call. I had the Browns taking a offensive lineman earlier in the draft here at pick 6. So here at pick 24, I've got them looking at a skill position to bring in, right? Try and get a weapon to bring in to try and throw the ball to for whoever's behind center on this one. So I've got them addressing another offense or another positional need for them, and I've got them going with Denzel Boston, the big wide receiver out of Washington for this pick. Any other thoughts here with pick 24?
No, sir.
All righty. Let's go ahead and move on. Pick number 25. Chicago Bears currently on the clock. What do you have happening here with pick number 25?
The Chicago Bears going Akeem Mesidor, the edge rusher out of Miami. Really just cementing their kind of young up and coming defense. Their secondary is pretty stinking good, honestly, but this will help them probably look even better as you're able to get some pressure on the quarterback, help set the edge for the linebackers coming in. So the Bears pivoting slightly after they kind of went offensive heavy the last couple drafts and picking up a good edge rusher here in Mesidor.
Oh, I like that one. He's I think that would be a very, very good pick for them if he's still around there, right? I had him heading off the board a little bit earlier, but I do really like that pick, right? Definitely filling a positional need for them. I've got them also looking at the defensive line side of things, looking more interior than on the exterior on the edge rusher. I've got them looking at the defensive tackle out of Ohio State, Caden McDonald, right? He's a very big body, 6'2", 326 guy. He was the offensive lineman of the year. Defensive lineman of the year in 2025. He can anchor, get off the block, bring down ball carriers, locate the ball. Like, certainly a guy that can be that run game wrecker in the middle. And so I think that certainly can be a very good pick for them here. Any other thoughts here on pick number 25?
No, sir.
All right, let's move on to number 26, the Buffalo Bills on the clock here. What do you have happening with pick number 26?
I have the Bills going with CJ Allen, the linebacker out of Georgia. And he's not gonna jump off the page as a athletic freak like some of the linebackers that Georgia has put out into the NFL here the last couple of years, but he's very consistent. He has a very good head on his shoulders. He's able to read defenses and he'll be able to be a very good centerpiece for the Bills, who have been kind of injury ridden at linebacker here the last couple of years.
I like that one. I really like that one. Certainly kind of fits with some of the things that they need to shore up there. I've got them also looking defensive side of the ball, looking more at the secondary side of things, though. A safety is a positional need for them. I've got them looking at Dylan Thiemann, the safety out of Oregon, to be their first round pick here at number 26. Any other thoughts here with pick 26?
No, sir.
All righty. Let's go ahead and move on to pick number 27. We've got the Niners on the clock here. What do you have happening with pick number 27?
Casey Concepcion. Like the Niners, yes, they brought in Mike Evans. Yes, they brought in Christian Kirk, but they need some youth here in the wide receiver room. Obviously, you still have why am I not thinking of his name? Ricky Parasol, and kind of see what he could do. But Casey Concepcion's great. He's instantly valuable in the return game, whether it's kicks and or punts. And Kyle Shanahan, I trust him to be able to put this explosive playmaker out of A&M in the right position to help this team and the offense move along.
I like that one. I've got them. I've got the Niners also looking at a guy from Texas A&M, different side of the ball, right? I've got them looking at the edge rusher. Yeah, and the Niners have done a really good job over the last few years, right? Really kind of building in the trenches and staying in the and continuing to build through the offensive and defensive line side of things. Some of those guys are starting to get a little bit older, so I do see them going with a little bit of youth here. I see them bringing in Cassius Howell, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M, to fill a positional need for them here. Any other thoughts on pick number 28?
Yes, sir.
All righty. Let's go ahead and move on to pick number 28, right? The Niners were 27th, Houston Texans at 28. What do you have happening here with the 28th pick?
Hayden McDonald, the defensive lineman out of Ohio State.
Okay.
I think he fits what D'Amico Ryans looks for in his players, and a defense that was the best in the league by many metrics last year. Get another guy up front to put pressure on the quarterback to help stop up the run and let his secondary ball hawk and just shut teams down like they did last year.
Right. No, I like that. Like that pick. I've also got them looking at a defensive tackle. Caden McDonald was already off my board, but I've got them looking at Peter Woods, the big defensive lineman out of Clemson, to be that guy to kind of come and shore up the run side of things, and really can be a guy that is versatile across that as well, right? Like, because this is a guy that could line up on the edge, could line up as a defensive tackle, and so this is a guy that versatility, I think, even allows them to continue, what they were building on last year on the defensive side of the ball. So, any other thoughts here on pick number 28?
No, sir.
All righty, let's move on to number 29. Kansas City Chiefs currently on the clock with that one. What do you have happening here with pick number 29?
So I have Kansas City going with Omar Cooper, the wide receiver out of Indiana. Not blazing speed, but as teams continue to sit in that high cover two shell against Kansas City, I think Andy Reid sees that, right? So let's change. Let's change to guys who are sure-handed. Let's change to guys who can, really focus and catch the ball well outside the numbers, between the numbers and the sideline, and go from there. Rashee Rice avoided legal issues, right? All that kind of was cleared away. He's not going to receive punishment from the NFL. So you have him back. You have Xavier Worthy still as kind of your speed guy to help take the top off the defense. But let's bring one more guy in to kind of shear things up for Patrick Mahomes, who is just a very clean catcher of the football.
I like that one. For Kansas City, I've got them also looking at a guy that it can be a difference maker on the offensive side of things, right? And potentially be kind of the heir apparent. Kelsey getting a little bit longer in the tooth, right? Like, is this the last season? How many more does he have behind that? So I've got them looking at Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon, to come in and be another playmaker on the offense.
That would be so dirty.
Yes, it would.
I like that just for the sheer fantasy aspect of it and people going gaga, but oh my gosh, that's dirty.
Yep. Yeah, that would be insane on that one. It'd actually be interesting to see where Sadiq's stock shoots up in rookie drafts if that's the case. So
yes.
Alrighty. Any other thoughts here on pick number 29?
No, sir.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 30. The Miami Dolphins currently hold that pick. What do you have happening here with the 30th pick?
If I'm Miami, I really look at Ty Simpson here, but I don't think they're going to. But if I'm Miami, I'm at least contemplating that. Again, you have a lot to really kind of figure out here for the Dolphins. So we'll see how that goes. I think. Or are they up here? Who did I have on my list for Miami? Ty Lemon. All right, that's who I went with. Sorry, had to make sure I was tracking through here properly on the Dolphins. I think they got to go edge rusher here. right? And I think they're looking at Zion Young out of Missouri. 6'6", 262, kind of fits what that Bradley Chubb type role was before they let him go. But they, you know, with Jalen Phillips and Chubb both leaving, they got to have someone who can get after the quarterback a little bit. So they got their pass catcher earlier to help out. They're going to flip sides of the ball, go edge rusher here, and at least try and start to rebuild.
Okay. No, I like that one. I've got them also looking at the defensive side of the ball. But I've got them looking at the secondary, right? I think this one here, they look more at cornerback. And they bring in a guy like Colton Hood, the cornerback out of Tennessee, right? Two very big positional needs, wide receiver, cornerback, and I've got them addressing both here in the first round. With Mekhi Lemon at the 10th pick, and then or the 11th pick, and then the Colton Hood here with the 30th pick. Any other thoughts here with the 30th pick?
No, sir.
All right, let's go ahead and head up. Pick number 31, Patriots, New England. They's on the clock. What do you have happening with the 31st pick?
I think New England trades out of this pick. And I think it's the Arizona Cardinals moving up from 34 to 31 to grab Ty Simpson and to get that 5th year for his rookie deal. So not a big trade, right? Like you're sliding down what, 4 picks, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you're sliding down 4 picks to draft for 34 instead of 31. I still think that guy for New England's on the board personally. And so then it's, a first and a third, and you give them a 5th in return or something like that is how the numbers might add up. But Ty Simpson, I think, is going at the back end of the first round to the Arizona Cardinals.
No, it's a good, certainly a good thought on that one, right? Arizona is certainly a very quarterback needy team on this one. And certainly makes a lot of sense there, right? And Ty Simpson's a guy that has had a lot of smoke start coming to play over the last few weeks. So we'll see how that one plays out there. Ty Simpson on my board was already off the clock, right? I had the Jets doing a very Jets thing and taking quarterback at pick number 16. So I've got at this point, there's not really anybody else, clamoring to come up and make a trade to try and move into this 35th spot. So I've got the New England drafting on the offensive line side of things, right? They've got a young quarterback. They've got a lot of needs on the offensive side of the offensive line side of the ball. And I've got them taking Caleb Lamu out of the offensive tackle out of Utah with this pick. Any other thoughts here with pick 31?
No, sir.
All righty. Let's go ahead and hit up the last pick, and pick number 32, currently held by Seattle Seahawks. What do you have happening with this 32nd pick?
I have them going Jadarian Price,
Okay.
the second running back out of Notre Dame here. So got to retool a little bit. A Super Bowl team, the players capitalize on it, right? Kenneth Walker was one of them. They also lost Boyd Mafe and cornerback Rick Woolen. So there's a couple different options depending on where the value falls and what they think. But right now, you're still waiting for Charbonnet to kind of come back from injury. You need to understand what that looks like. And Jadarian Price is a guy that kind of fits the Seattle mode, right? Like he's a not as explosive, but he can run between the tackles. He can get outside when needed. So we'll see kind of how that plays out, but I think they go running back here.
No, I like it. The certainly makes a lot of sense. All right, so they need running back is a big question mark for them. Edge rusher is another big question mark for them. And in mock 1.0, I had them taking Zion Young in mock 1.0. This is one, Zion Young's still there, right? Still heavily in consideration, but another positional need that they have is in that secondary side of things, right? And I've got them looking at safety, right? Because I don't think that they really thought that Emmanuel McNeil Warren, the safety out of Toledo, would have fallen to them with this pick here. And since he's on the board, I think that Seattle can't wait to be able to make this pick to bring him in and shore up that secondary as well. So that's who I have them taken. Any final thoughts here with either the 32nd pick or any of the picks throughout?
No, I like that, and I think you're right. I think Seattle's running to the podium if Warren's still out there and they can plug their safety hole there. So I like that pick. I think I like round 2 better than I liked round 1. I think a lot of it, I think it makes a little bit more sense just kind of digesting it for a week and really looking at this and trying to understand team needs. I mean, not a lot of trades in this one, but that's okay, right? That's just kind of how you and I saw it. Takes multiple teams to be able to pull off these trades. We had the one there at the end, and that's only because you're sliding back such a minimal amount. It just made sense for the Patriots, but we could see a couple more, right? There's multiple teams with multiple first round picks. And so we could see them either parlay first round picks this year into first round picks next year somehow, or if they just want some more youth and draft capital, seeing them trade into the second round and kind of take a haul for, some of these other teams who are really wanting to move up. So
Right.
last couple of years, was it last year was very minimal on the trade side of things. A couple of years ago, we had quite a few more, right? Wasn't it that year, Derek? 24, where we had.
I'd have to look it up, but you're right. There was one
Yeah.
in the last couple of years where it was literally, felt like we had a trade every other pick.
So it's all good. Each year's its own beast, but I think that the way that we're looking at it, for the first round, the teams that did have the first round pick are walking away after night 1 saying, okay, we became better today than what we were yesterday.
Right. No, I would agree with that. And it wouldn't surprise me to see, right. No, New England really stands out as the one that I could see trading back at that pick 31 pick. Right. Simply because of the fact that the Jets have the 33rd pick, the Cardinals have the 34th pick in the second round. So yeah, you trade back, you move down 2 or 3 spots to ultimately get the guy that's probably still that you were going to take at 31 anyway. And you get a little bit more draft capital out of that. But it wouldn't surprise me, right, if the Jets don't go with a Ty Simpson with that 16th pick, that they try to trade back up into the very tail end to try and pick him up. Same thing with the Cardinals, right? It makes a lot of sense for either one of those teams to try and move up and get that player. There as a positional need and get that 5th-year option to it. Also wouldn't surprise me to see the Cardinals at number 3 actually look to try and trade down and move out of that pick to try and accumulate more draft capital throughout that. I could see some teams, edge rushers a premier spot, and you're likely going to have either Avril, Reese or David Bailey available at that 3rd pick. Unless something absolutely crazy happens here, you'll likely have one of those 2 guys there, and I could see a team, overpaying to move up and go get David Bailey and the Cardinals falling back to try and make some, get some additional capital here. So, because at the number 3 pick, that's likely going to take at least 2 to 3 first round picks to move up there, depending upon how far back you're falling. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see something like that happen. So
I agree. And I think that the Chiefs, Dolphins, and Patriots there at 29, 30, 31 are really the prime real estate for teams wanting to jump back up into the first round.
Right.
Not that you couldn't with Seattle, but I think Seattle, again, depending on how the board falls, maybe Seattle will want to move back, but Seattle's fairly young here at the moment anyway. So I think they're going to be looking like best player available. So maybe they're not willing to do that, but the Dolphins need more draft capital because they need a massive influx of talent. The Chiefs got their guy earlier in the draft. And if they're sliding back, 5 to 7 picks, it doesn't really hurt what the Chiefs are doing, especially if they're able to pick up an extra second along the way. Or whatever that may look like from a team wanting to trade up. So I somewhere in that landing spot, I think that's where your back end opportunity comes, is in those three picks.
Right. No, and it makes a lot of sense, right? And kind of piggyback on that Seattle thought, right? Like, not only are they a younger team, like they've got enough positional needs around there that aren't glaring positional needs, but you could plug and play a very impactful player into that and kind of put them in the pipeline and develop them along through that. That you're not having to necessarily plug and play a guy week one, and so you get that extra year on that rookie deal to try and bring him along. So I think you're right. I don't think that Seattle's much of a seller at this point, unless somebody comes along with a really good offer. But I think that's your sweet spot is 29, 30, 31 for a team to potentially kind of come up, and then one of those teams to move back a few picks to kind of regroup and you see how that one comes to play. So, kind of looking throughout it, there's not a ton of other spots that kind of stand out besides that Cardinals at 3, those picks at 29, 30, 31 that really kind of stand out as like, these are kind of prime targets that we may see some maneuverings happen there, right? Like anything else, it might be you see a team trade from, down one spot to get an extra, 4th round pick out of it type of thing. Like, I just don't see much in the way of real big maneuvering happen outside of those couple of areas, but who knows? Could be wrong, right? It's part of the draft season, and part of the fun with that is the chaos ensuing on draft night. So, alrighty. Well, I think that's going to take us down here to the end of it. Any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
Thanks for tuning in. Again, 2.5 weeks away, so the news should start flowing here pretty good in the next couple of days. But there's still, again, like we kind of talked about earlier, there's plenty of stuff to watch on TV. Enjoy the spring weather, enjoy the time with the family, all that good stuff. Thank you for tuning in. To please jump over to YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. That way you can get the little notification every time we go live. But be safe and enjoy your second week of April.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for us tonight. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in. He's Kevin. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.